Hey guys, how's it going? Today we are going to prune and fertilize our raspberries and blackberries. Here they all are. We've got one 30 by 3 foot row of blackberries, and there are 8 blackberry plants total. And then we've got two 30 foot by 3 foot beds of raspberries. So this one is the fall gold everbearing type, and this is a red raspberry called Heritage, and it's also everbearing. This is our oldest, most established bed for sure. You can see how thick they were last year. Oh my goodness. Fall golds right here. We planted the back half of the row last year and the front half the year before, so it's thicker toward the front. And this will be our third year with the blackberries, which we are going to fortify our structure. I just thought I was going to do 3 rows of raspberries initially, so we built the trellising system exactly the same for all 3. Blackberries need a little bit of a different situation for trellising. Look at this one plant. Oh my goodness. We're going to do the best with what we've got today. I think what I'm going to do is run more wire cables throughout to kind of hold everything in. I'm also going to run 2 in the center so we can have different kind of sections and more wires for the canes to lean on. And real quick, these are the tools I'm going to be using today. We've got Felco 2s, I've got my gloves, our new kneeling pad. I hope you saw the video we recently put out, but this is our brand new exclusive kneeling pad, and it is built like the ones that I used to be able to get. The company that was making them stopped making them for whatever reason, but we were able to bring them back. So I'm super excited about it. We'll link it down below, but it's just my favorite thing ever. And then we've got our shrub rake and our pop-up bag. So to prune raspberries or blackberries, it's really helpful to understand the growth cycle of the plant, and both raspberries and blackberries grow very similarly. And it's also important to know whether or not you have a June or spring type raspberry, or if you have a fall/ever-bearing type raspberry, because you do prune them differently. The way that the June/spring-bearing raspberries grow is that the first year you get your canes, which are called primal canes, and it's just vegetative growth. You don't get any berry production on first year canes. It's not until the second year that you see production on those canes, and once they have produced berries, those can be cut out. So let's pretend these are spring-bearing raspberries. If you're coming in to prune them, it's super easy to tell which canes to prune out. This right here clearly had berries on it last year. So you know that last year it was its second year, it produced fruit, now it's done. You can cut these all the way back to the ground. But let's take a look at the one right next to it. No evidence of berries from last year. So we know that this cane right here is going to produce our June berries this year. So we leave that one alone. So it's very easy to come in here and say, I can cut that one, that one, that one. All of these that had berries, we cut out. And anything that did not, they get to stay. So basically you're just going in and thinning them out. After you've taken out all the canes that had berries from the previous year, if you still feel like the patch is too thick, you can take out additional canes as well. I mean, you will forfeit the berries from those canes, but you want to make sure that you're leaving your canes with room for airflow so that they get proper light and so that the plant has plenty of energy to send into nice big berries. So that's something we're going to be focusing a lot on today. I really need to thin especially the Heritage. For your fall or everbearing type raspberries, you will get production on both first year and second year canes. So what they do is they produce their canes in the spring, they grow up during the summer, and then you'll see some berries on the top of those canes that fall. And if you leave those canes through to the next year, they will produce June berries lower down on the cane. So you come in on your everbearing type, you look at the cane. I can tell that this one was pushed last year because all of the fruit production is at the very tippy top. So this was a first year cane last year. It produced berries in the fall, and what we'll do is we follow the berry production down and we cut just below where the first little berry cluster was. And what we can expect this year is for this cane to produce berries right here. After the cane produces its June berries this year, it's done. We can cut it out. That way you get both fall and spring production. There is another way you can prune everbearing raspberries, which is what I did last year. You can go in and you can just mow them all down. It definitely is quicker. It takes the guesswork out of it. There's pros and cons to that. One, you do forfeit your June crop. We are so busy in June that sometimes I don't want to have an extra thing that I need to think about harvesting or keeping up on. So some years that's really a nice thing to do. And it also guarantees that you're going to have a bumper crop in the fall. Huge berries, tons of them. And then usually by that time I'm a little bit more ready, have a little bit more time to spend picking them. So definitely pros and cons. You don't get fruit all through the season, but you do get a lot and bigger berries typically, and they're a lot easier to prune that way. So one more thing, and I do not have an example of this, but on your everbearing type, if you come in at this point of the year and you're wondering which canes you need to cut all the way out, you would notice a cut from the previous prune. You'll notice that cut end and then berry production lower on the cane. And that way you would know to take them out. But because I mowed all of mine down last year, I don't have any of the June production because we didn't have any last year. So this year I just want to spend a little bit more time selectively pruning so we have earlier production because the kids love them and I want more of a harvest season really for that reason alone. Blackberries, there are a few varieties that will produce both on first year and second year canes, much like raspberries, and you treat the pruning just the same. Most of them though produce on second year canes. So, and I think most of mine, 2, 4, 6 of them I know for sure are June bearing, which means if I come in here, I can find some old berries. This cane's done. This cane's done. I'll cut those out and we'll let these canes that were produced last year be the ones that produce berries this year. But I think I had Primark 45s back here, and I want to say that this one is a variety that blooms on both first and second year wood. So we'll be a little bit more selective. I say that, but I don't even see canes that have berry like refuse on them. Oh no, here's one. There's one right here. So what I could do, this is a little one, but I could just cut that one down right here and it might produce some berries down low. And after we're done with all the cleanup, I'm gonna come in with some berry tone or holly tone, depending on what kind of bag I have open in there in the barn, and we're gonna give them a little top dress of fertilizer. So let me grab my stuff and I will do some pruning a little bit slower so you can see like slow demonstration, and then we will speed the whole thing up because this will take a little while for me to do. Okay, we're at the end of the fall gold row here. It's a little less thick because these are younger, but you can see this cane right here had berries on the end of it. So we're gonna follow it down right to where the last little cluster of berries was, right here. And we're gonna cut at the next node, which is right here. You can see the last cluster of berries, first node. Make our cut right there. Sorry, this camera is so bad at focusing. But anyway, we're gonna leave the bottom part of that cane and we'll have berries on that this next season. Another one right here, you can see the old berries, follow it down, and I'm gonna cut right here above a nice bud. Perfect. Okay, one more example. I hope this camera shows detail a little bit better, but you can see the berry cluster right here. We follow it down to the last one, and you can see that nice bud right there. So that's where we're gonna make our cut, or right above it. There we go. So once I'm done cutting off all of the berry producing parts from last year, I'm gonna go through each little section. I think from post to post it's about 8 feet, and I kind of like to take it in little chunks like that. I'll go through and thin out. If there's thick areas, especially in the heritage, I'm gonna thin it out and leave far less than what's there right now, because I would rather the plant have a lot more energy to produce nicer sized berries than having so many. We had so many berries last year on the heritage, but they were on the small side, and I think it was just because of the sheer quantity that we're growing on those plants. So anyway, here we go. Well, the trimming is all done, sort of. I got the 2 rows of raspberries all trimmed up, and oh my gosh, this one in particular, doesn't that look so much better? Oh, there's even ones I feel like maybe I missed and I could tuck in like that. Oh, it just looks so tidy, and I did clean out most of the leaves. I just used my blower to blow what I could out of each one of the beds instead of trying to get in there either with my hands or my rake to try to get them out from around all those canes. My goal was just to get rid of most of the leaves. Whatever is left in there, they're going to be so much more exposed to the elements now that they'll break down really quickly. And I'm trying not to leave a ton of debris and leaves in this general area in particular, because the rose garden is right there and the cut flower garden, and that's where we've been having the biggest thrift problem on our property is in this area. So I don't want to leave a bunch of stuff that they can overwinter and kind of nest in. So I think I eliminated most of that. And I say I'm only sort of done trimming these back because I didn't really trim the blackberries. I don't really want to until we get the rest of the wires in, because I feel like once we have some interior wires and some more wires on the outside, I can use some ties, and I can tie individual, branches down and keep everything a little bit tidier. And I don't really want to forfeit a lot of what could be berry producing canes just to get them to fit into what I currently have now. So I'm hoping to get the new wires in this next week. We're also going to be adding another wire on our grapes, and I am going to be pruning these, and I'll show you guys when I do that. But again, I want to wait until we've got a central wire. I just put these way too far apart. One of them I think is at 2 feet and one of them's at 5, maybe a little bit higher than 5 even. So I think if I have one in between, I'll be better able to train these. And I kind of blew leaves out from under them, but it's so hard because there's so many branches on the ground. I thought, you know what, let's just wait till we get them all trained up and pruned, and then I can rake underneath all those. So the only thing left now is to fertilize. I'm going to use Hollytone. There is an H there. There we go. Because I can't find my bag of berry tone, which probably means I'm out and I should go pick some up, but Hollytone will work really well. And we usually do either Hollytone, berry tone, you can use garden tone, or whatever tone you have you could use on these, and the berries would benefit. And then sometimes we'll come in with a top dress of land and sea compost. We did that last year, and sometimes we use soil acidifier. Between all of that, we have super great production out here. I'm really happy with these berry beds, and I feel like we spaced them proper too. We did 9 feet between each row. And I'm super happy with that, because even in the height of the growth period of these, they'll come out to maybe here or so on both sides, and there's still a nice wide aisle to walk down. Really pleasant. I wanted to get that right because, at my parents' house, when we moved in there when I was little, there were already some raspberries in the garden, and they actually still have 2 of the raspberry rows that were originally there. But there was, I think, 5 rows in the space where they have just 2 now. I mean, it was so thick, and I remember as kids having to go pick raspberries, and we'd have to crawl on the ground underneath all those prickly branches, and then you just pop up and pick what you could in a circle, and then go down and crawl a little bit more and pop up and pick what you could. I wanted to avoid that. Okay, let's cut this open. And I'm just gonna walk by each side of each one of these berry beds and just sprinkle the Hollytone. I don't measure it, I just throw it in there and yeah, call it good. You can see the fertilizer in there. It was much easier to get in the less congested rows. Right here where there's canes coming right out to the edge, I just kind of poured it over the top. and we're supposed to get some rain, so I'm not going to worry about working it into the soil. It'll work its way down. And you guys, that is it for raspberry and blackberry pruning. It's really quite easy, especially once you kind of nail down the growth cycle of each one. I think that's when it kind of clicked for me and I wasn't super stressed about coming out and taking care of them after I locked that in. Sometimes it takes years to lock in information like that. There's some things that I still look up every single year. I'm like, now how do I do that again? Because I don't want to mess it up, and so I have to confirm. Now the only other berries, I'm trying to think, we've got, well, strawberries of course, and then we've got blueberries, which I think I'm going to move to a different location and put them somewhere else this next year because I'm not having very good luck with them. They're in the galvanized tubs. I don't know if you can see them way down there. They kind of parallel the orchard fence down there, and they kind of struggle. They do okay the first year, and I mean blueberries kind of struggle for us anyway, but they're so good fresh that it's kind of worth it. And then we do have a couple of honeyberry plants. Actually, there's two right here. They don't look like much now, but they are starting to bud out. There's tons of growth on this one already. There's one here. And then there are 2 in terracotta pots in front of the flower shed. And we have 4 small statured blackberry plants in terracotta pots in our raised bed vegetable garden. And it's just fun to have all of the different selection out here, especially for the kids to see what they're drawn to. I think that their favorite is probably the strawberry patch. After that, it's the fall gold raspberries. And I have contemplated getting rid of our entire row of heritage, the red raspberries, and putting all fall golds in, both rows, because they are so good. And I know it's totally a personal opinion on that because I know people who don't like them as well, but I like them better than red raspberries. It's a good thing these handles are red. I probably would have left them out here had I not glimpsed the red out of the corner of my eye. So anyway, guys, I hope this video was helpful. Just kind of going through the process of doing this. I know we're out here every season getting this done, but it's one of the spring chores we needed to get done, and it feels good to look out here and see it so clean. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.